Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We're so happy you're here. Hopefully, you finished watching the movie, and we really appreciate that you took the time to stay on the call during this much longer movie than we normally would have. Usually, our movies are 90 minutes, so this movie was a 2-hour movie, so much longer. But we're so glad that you are here. If you haven't finished with the movie, we'll try not to include any spoilers, and you can pause your movie and then watch it after our discussion. So thank you again for joining us. I'm so happy for you to be here. So my name is Stacy. My pronouns are she and her, and I am wearing an orange shirt. And I have a kind of white background of my wall with a pretty art decoration. Anyway, I think anyway that it is a pretty decoration on my wall. And I'm a white woman with graying hair, probably more than I like to admit. And the live caption option is enabled. So if that's helpful for you to feel free to go ahead and use that. So we are an organization that focuses on fun events and that share important information. So check us out at informyourcommunity.org. You can sign up for more of our events there. This year, we're hosting 36 events. You can find our social media links on the bottom of our website. And of course, we always appreciate a donation that helps keep our events free. So this topic is particularly important, this topic of small business. After all, you may not know that small businesses account for 64% of the new positions that are available anyway from 1993 to 2011. So accounted for 64% of those positions, and that's the equivalent of 1.5 million jobs. That's pretty impressive. And in 2018, that actually increased, and it was 1.9 million jobs. So the topic of small business is clearly an important one. And so having this event gives us the opportunity to talk about this topic, share some information on it, and we can discuss that fun movie, The Founder. Fun, interesting, however you want to see it. We definitely will have an opportunity to talk about it. So to help us understand this topic, now that we watched this movie together, we're going to have a Q&A facilitated by our very own Hanali. So Hanali, welcome, and thank you. Thank you for your help today in facilitating this important discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hanali, and I'm the program director for the Popcorn and Chat program at Inform Your Community. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am an Indian woman, and I'm currently wearing a purple sweatshirt, and I have black hair, black eyes, and my background is a cream wall. So without further ado, let's get started. And feel free to unmute yourself for our discussion when you have a comment, or if you can type your comment in the chat, if that's more comfortable. Feel free to use the raising hand icon on the Zoom. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed watching the movie, The Founder. There are so many things I want to talk about today. So let's get started. So in 2020 survey of 5,000 small businesses, the Harvard Business Review found that the majority of small businesses have less than 2 months of expenses saved in case of a steep decline in revenue as occurred in the pandemic. The movie showed so many struggles, including the inevitable financial struggles. What is your opinion on how struggles of small businesses was portrayed in the movie? Because I know the brothers had their own struggles, and the franchising had its own struggles. So what are some of the opinions you have that was shown in the movie about small businesses, or could apply to small businesses in general?
Well, I can tell you that that for me, and hopefully, I know we have a couple of folks here. For me, one of the most interesting part was about the struggle of those first two original founders of McDonald's. So it kind of starts off with them having their small business, where they had kind of maybe a few locations, but it was a relatively small business. And it goes back kind of in time to how they formed that small business. And I see that Godwin put something in the chat to say that that she said, I love this movie, but it really isn't about small business. And I thought that too when I kind of first started, like at the very beginning, I'm like, they already have a business, right? So, and it's already kind of successful. They have a few different kind of installations of it, franchises of it. But for me, I thought about how they really do a lot of flashbacks about how they grew their small business and the struggles they faced in the process. But it wasn't necessarily kind of chronological that I would normally see in a movie. So I don't know, Godwin, if you thought that way or if anybody else thought that way. But I thought it was really interesting how they said they had a few franchises and but they were struggling, and that it was really when they looked to kind of how do they make the process more efficient that they ended up taking off more. And so I thought about, in terms of what you said, Hanali, the struggles, I thought about this idea that small business really have to be innovative. So I don't know if anybody wants to talk about the importance of innovation in small business, but I thought that was really something interesting.
I just have a little laryngitis, so.
No problem.
Yeah. But this, I mean, I'm thrilled you showed it. I had never seen it, even though I had heard all about it when it came out. And I thought it was brilliantly documented what happens. But I just do, I mean, yes, it documents what their small business was like, but it really documents what happens when somebody else takes your idea and kind of takes it over. So, because Ray Kroc was not running a small business and he wasn't interested in running a small business. So that's all. I'm not, I don't see this as a movie about small business. I see it as a movie about what happens when a bigger force comes in. But
Yeah, no, I totally I see that. It was more about like the franchising, but I also see that the aspect of right now, I know a lot of my friends who are in the entrepreneurial world, they have ideas and then sometimes it falls through, or that someone else steals the idea or has a better idea that I don't know. So I kind of seeing like having that strong business knowledge, or someone who has like that, I don't know, if you come so fresh into the industry with a good innovation but don't have enough business knowledge, it could hurt, or you can lean on to someone more knowledgeable and you could eventually grow. So kind of seeing that struggle in that stance, I think that was something I could apply to a small business. Not necessarily that the movie was about small business, but that was something I took out of that.
The other thing too is I saw him before. So Ray Kroc wasn't, when he took over McDonald's, that was not a small business, but he also has his struggles as a salesperson, which I also related to the small business idea, where he was trying to bring what he was selling. And a lot of salespeople are small business owners. So my father actually sold Fuller Brush, if you'd believe it, and was very successful in it. He also sold Avon, and he grew his business as a salesperson. And so he was absolutely a small business person, just doing sales. We don't know what their relationship was between him as a salesperson and the company he worked for, but oftentimes salespeople are their own independent kind of contractors in that sense. And so when he tried to bring his ideas of that, like the mixer with the 5 different mixers, to other businesses, him selling it to them, trying to sell it to them, but being unsuccessful and having the door shut in his face, essentially. I also saw in terms of this idea of, if you've got an idea, like what Hanali, you just said, you have an idea, but then other people aren't willing to listen to you. So I thought that was an interesting way to represent another angle on struggles of small business. And then even connected to that, I thought about those small businesses that he was trying to sell it to. And he was trying to explain to him, like, no, you can grow your business. I know you have just this one location now, but look, you have to think bigger. You can grow it bigger. And a lot of those locations that weren't buying it from him were like, no, like we're good. Why would we need that? We're fine. If people have to wait 10 minutes, who cares? They're waiting 10 minutes, And so it was an unusual way to represent it, but I kind of saw a few different angles on the experience of this kind of struggles that small businesses go through. So anyway.
yeah,
I think like having Oh, sorry. Did I cut somebody off? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that having the product market fit, like you just said, having good innovation is one thing, but is it needed in the market and doing that initial, I guess, market research before you put something out there, and then being able to sell it, because that's the whole purpose of having a successful business, is being able to sell it, your idea, to your target audience. So, like you said, the sales thing, being able to talk to them in a way that you could project your idea and have them see from your lens that this could actually be helpful in this way for you with your particular struggle, and be able to actually pay for that idea. Like there are a lot of solutions out there, but are you willing to pay for it? Is it that big of a struggle? So I think doing that market research before putting it out there would also help.
Hanali, what do you do? What's your work?
Oh, I'm a clinical research coordinator, but I did study entrepreneurship for my undergrad and my master's. Yeah.
So I've been running my own business my entire life, and I'm older than both of you. So I know a lot about running businesses. And Stacy knows that. So so we can have a whole conversation about what this was about. But actually, what I thought was the most fascinating part about this movie was the way it captured. So he was never clever. He never had an idea ever. But what he did do was he recognized over and over, he recognized a good thing when he saw it, from seeing their business because he had seen all these other ones, to understanding that buying the land deal. And he was lucky that he came across people who obviously came across people who did not give him good advice, and he struggled, but he also came across some people who did give him advice. And my experience running a business is that's actually an incredibly critical I don't know, piece, that when you don't have to think of it all, but you have to recognize it.
Yeah.
So that's my two
That-
cents, having run many businesses, including now running a funny little business in Manhattan. So.
Well, it does beg the question, what advice would you give people, since you're talking about all your experience? What advice would you give people who are starting their small businesses? I'm putting you on the spot, so I apologize.
No, I don't mind being put on the spot. It's just that it's just too broad a question, because starting a business is different. I've always had a business. I've had 5 different businesses. The one I have now, I've had for 23 years. So this one's been around for a while, and it's grown because I pivoted, because I saw this opportunity. Expanded the spaces, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, where do you want to start in that? It's a good question, but it's too broad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I welcome others who want to make it more specific. We do share the video with other folks after the event, so this will be on our website as well as on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Okay, great. It was the only thing it's a shame is that it was a Weinstein movie, but we'll let that go. Oh well.
There's this guy, he's also British, Indian, and he's on Shark Tank. He has never come up with an idea. He's a beverage guy. He's the food and beverage guy, but he knows who to invest in. And but it was very incremental for him. And I don't know how people get the money to invest either. I mean, you have to have money or a house or something that for collateral for a bank to give you money to invest in it. So it's hard to make investments in a business if you don't have the money to invest. So, which I think it was easier back then to do it because the price of everything so much less.
Yeah, it seems like that, but it's not actually true, because it's all scaled. It wasn't cheaper. It was the same proportion. It was the same ratios. It's just that, our numbers are so much higher now, but you can also get bigger loans. And, they didn't need big loans. Like $20,000 in those days would have gotten him far enough to buy land, whereas now you can't buy a brick for that. So it's all, everything's in its time. So, yeah, and money's tricky. It is totally tricky. It depends what kind of business you're in and
Oh,
what you're
right.
doing. And,
Amen.
whether you're inventing something that has to go to market versus a service business, which is much easier because you don't usually need an investment for that, because then you're selling your services, but you don't need to you don't need to rent a space, or you don't need to put a
Mhm.
capital into manufacturing.
Mhm.
For sure. So in the movie, it was mentioned that persistence leads to success in businesses. To what extent do you agree to this? Do you think persistence takes heavier weight in businesses than any other big aspects? Like, do you think innovation would be a bigger weight than persistence? Kind of trying to weigh that. I know persistence was kind of put out there in the movie, even to the end. So wanted to bring that out there.
You can be as persistent as you want to be, but if somebody keeps saying no to you, it's going to be a no. It takes about 1,000,000 no's to get one yes. So I know this. I'm in business too. So, you take about and it just takes a lot of no's to wind up with a yes. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mentioned my dad sold Avon, but actually I sold Avon too. I'll admit it. And actually, because I took over the business from him, I had quite a lot of customers. And he and I were both top 3 sales in New York City, not Manhattan, New York City. And one of the things, persistence wasn't important because you get a lot of people, you're a salesperson, you get a lot of people saying no, but also the and not just like innovation, but also like the quality of the product, because it was just easier to sell Avon because people knew, well, brand reputation. I had the brand reputation of it. And also it was actually a good quality product. And so that helped. So persistence, innovation, but having a good quality product and kind of brand reputation.
I tried to sell it one too, and it didn't go very well because I don't know that many. I mean, you have to know people. You have to know a lot of people.
And believe it or not, in my case, I went door to door in businesses, but I'm in Lower Manhattan. So, but it was just walking up to receptionists and here's a catalog. And so yeah, but if you're doing it in a more rural is not quite the suburb type area, then you've got to know people because you don't have the masses.
It's harder.
My
Yeah.
mom sold Avon for a while as well, actually.
Oh, did she? See, there you go. And I'm sure, I would guess her experience selling. So having a small business where you have to sell to people in a suburb versus having a small business where you have the density of a city, it's also something interesting. It's like the location that you're starting your business in.
Yeah. So once you're talking about Avon and Mary Kay and all of those, you're talking about a different category, because those were businesses women could run on their own. They were given full, what's the word? Like they could that's what they could do. It was much harder to break into a senior partner in a law firm, but it was not hard. And Avon and Mary Kay and all of those, not subscription, but, well, they're pyramid, but they were decent pyramid programs. But they understood that there were lots of women who wanted to make money and run their own businesses and were capable and didn't have a lot of other options. So that's why Avon is not popular anymore. But in its day, it was fabulous because it gave people who otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity, gave them an opportunity. So that's what I mean. Like you start talking about small businesses, they're not all the same. The franchises are different than a consulting business. They're different from a product business. They're different. Everything is different. except for the issue of recognizing opportunities. I would say that that's probably consistent, that you recognize an opportunity to move your business forward, whether it's finding women who would host those Avon parties, or whatever the opportunities are, that to be able to recognize that. That's probably the most consistent thing I can think of across, is being able to not that the opportunities exist or don't, but recognizing them when they do.
Ah,
That's
we got a piece of advice out of you anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't mind giving advice. I just don't want to overwhelm, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And then I think persistent can also be looked at in a way that in terms of rejection, not just from selling the product rejection, but from investors, getting funds from the investors. You get rejected all the time, but you just need one person who gives you the good mentorship, gives you the right amount, and is able to help you grow in a way. I think even with in the movie, I think when he was expanding the franchise, he got an advice of how he should focus on the land instead of the actual McDonald's, and that really pushed him forward. So having those mentorship through when you're expanding or growing, I think that also helps. So even if you get rejected all the time, if you get that one good network, it could take you a long way. Just what I think.
Right, but see, that was an opportunity. That was not a mentor. That guy was not there to help him move along. That guy was there to make money and to be his business partner in real estate. And he recognized the opportunity because he recognized that Ray Kroc had the potential, and by presenting it to him, he became a business partner. It's different than a mentor. And then if you followed the credits at the end, they had a falling out. So, and they never spoke again. So I wouldn't mix that up with mentorship, which is where somebody is just giving you advice. I have lots of people who call me, who I talk to and give them, you know, advice or comment on what they're doing to help them along. That is not what that real estate person was talking about. He saw it, he presented it, he realized that Ray Kroc needed that. He was lucky to meet him at that moment. And then Ray Kroc they both recognized the importance of that idea, but it was not a mentorship. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be argumentative. I'm not.
No, I mean, I love that. Educate us, enlighten us. I would love to hear your points and your experience in the industry. I would love to, you know, understand, you know, different perspectives of all of it. So
it's interesting though, because I wonder how many mentors ultimately may get involved in the businesses of the people they mentor. So I don't know if it's so, you know, from my perspective anyway, I don't know if it's so like a hard and fast rule, but it is interesting to think about, to kind of to think about. I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, no, it's not a hard and fast rule. I'm just saying in this movie.
Yes, yeah. Fair.
You know, Shark Tank, you know, they do provide mentorship and business money. You know, there are other models. I'm just saying in this movie.
Oh, and actually, Shark Tank, thank you for reminding us of that. So Jessica had mentioned Shark Tank, a specific person in Shark Tank, and it was, I believe it was Rohan Oza. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Rohan Oza from Shark Tank, who Jessica was talking about earlier. So, but yeah, Shark Tank's a great example.
So, but that's where you get mentors and funding and a whole package. So it's, I was just focusing on this movie, which I thought did a fabulous job of capturing a process of how somebody sees opportunities, even though he did not think of a single one, but recognized them. And then just for some of it luck, some of it on his own, finding people who could help, you know, who had ideas. Like the ice cream was not his idea. The land was not his idea. The whole shop wasn't his idea. There was nothing in there that was his idea, but he totally recognized the benefit of each of those things once somebody introduced them. And I just think it did a brilliant job of capturing that. And that's not something people usually think about when they're running or starting a business, that it isn't always about having the idea. It's about understanding how to move that idea in a way, move it forward, move it so it's profitable. But it's a different skill than having the idea or knowing how to produce an idea. That's all. I just thought it was a brilliant movie capturing that process. So.
Yep, that makes sense.
But also, I love when he said that he would feed him he would feed you to a snake or something. He'd be like a rat feeding you a snake. I mean, he wasn't exactly a sweetheart of a guy either. He was kind of a nasty man who was really,
Yeah, he was driven.
he was hungry for money, but, and his wife kept telling him, can't you just be happy with what you have? And he said, no.
Right.
You
And
know.
that's the case. I mean, you have the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Elon Musks, and there's lots of people out there who are driven. He was driven, no question. It was great.
He was driven, but not just driven. He was like eat or be eaten kind of
Yeah.
driven, which is not my kind of driven. My kind of driven is there's a piece of the pie for everybody, and that's the way I operate. Is I want to help people. And
Jessica, what's your business?
oh, I do training on disability issues for companies.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to go. So are you almost done? What's
Ye-
next?
Yeah. Yeah, so
What do you do with
I
your?
run a program for kids and teachers about incorporating hands-on activities into schools, it's getting kids doing more hands-on projects. It's a whole so we do things with cardboard and paper and robotics and a whole program for kids and a separate program for teachers to train teachers.
nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're wrapping this up. So the founders showed so many aspects where persistence helped McDonald's to ultimately attain its success. At the time, persistence also helped with innovation by McDonald's brothers. Watching the way they planned out their kitchen was particularly fun. Over the years, there have been incredible innovations that have made our lives easier today, like the invention of the printing press in 1436, Industrial Revolution from 1760 to 1840, the Ford automobile assembly link in 1913. Additionally, notable people like John D. Rockefeller, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx in 2000, have also had a huge impact. So how do you think small businesses has evolved over the years? I think we've come a long way from printing press to having technology today. So how do you think, in your perspective, how small businesses operate today have evolved over the years? Since over the years.
Well, innovation and the computer wasn't with Apple and Steve Jobs and Microsoft with Bill Gates, and they all went to Harvard together, but none of them graduated. I mean, they decided to leave school, and Facebook was something, and and it's just incredible. It only takes somebody with an idea, and but we're also leaving people out too. There's also a downside of it with AI, and we're going to do something about that too. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And we can continue to support small businesses by doing things like writing them a review, sharing posts on social media, word of mouth, donation, and so much more. And now I'll let Stacy conclude our discussion for today. But thank you everyone for coming, and we hope to see you in our future events.
So thank you so much, Hanali, for facilitating this. And it was such a powerful movie. I'm so glad that we got a chance to see it and to talk about small businesses and kind of the evolution of small businesses as well a little bit. We have tons of different types of events that inform your community. We have 6 different programs actually. So movie nights and game nights and and children's crafting, adults crafting. So please check out our website at www.informyourcommunity.org to find out more information. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, please do like and subscribe to our video, and feel free to share this on social media. And we welcome your feedback as well. We understand the butterfly effect of small businesses in particular, in that because they're not these major corporations, the slightest things can affect them. So when you do have a business that you love, do consider doing something to help them out. You can even ask them, like, what can I do to support you? And in turn, that butterfly effect means that those small businesses being around will benefit you in turn down the road. So for example, I know that, my kids can go, to a spot nearby, and I know they're going to be safe there because we know the proprietors of that business, right? So it's great that you found this film, and you can find it on Amazon as well. Pluto TV, Amazon Prime, Tubi. You can check those out if you have it. Google Play Movies, and other places you can see the film if you haven't seen it yet. We have other great popcorn and chat movies lined up, but we have our event about Hinduism coming up this weekend, the children's crafting event on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please do check that out. And we are so grateful to have you come today. Check out our website for upcoming events, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming.